Yo, what's up, guys? What's up, fam? Family. Welcome to my crib. I got Cristal and various other refreshments. Stick around. You might just get to drink one. But good to see you guys. Evan plays clicked without even looking at the notification. It's a dangerous game you're playing, my friend. Very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Or perhaps it's the best decision you've ever made in your entire life. It's hard to say. But how's everybody doing tonight? Because we are about to read some spooky stories about scary people, perhaps even scary animals, maybe even scary pocket protectors where they don't quite keep in the ink from your pen, and your entire business suit that your mother ironed herself that morning, kissed you on the forehead, sent you off to your office job, and now you're covered in ink. What are you going to tell her? I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in that situation, but you might get to vicariously experience that through some of these stories tonight. So I hope you guys are prepared for that. Most of these stories are actually have nothing to do with any of that, so we'll see. I sound nervous. Honestly, I would be nervous. This is about if I was in a room of 100 of you guys and I had to give a and I had to go read 10 stories or 8 stories in front of you guys, I might actually poop my pants on stage, which I think would be probably for my net benefit, because then hopefully one of you guys would have gotten it on video and then could send it into Keemstar. And once you made it on the Keemstar, you know you've made it in the YouTube world. And it's one of my greatest goals in life to appear on an episode. I don't know what the episode would involve, whether I've cheated on somebody or perhaps hurt somebody, or maybe I even got naked in an airport before going through customs. There's a lot of options for me out there prior to going on old Keem's channel. Julia Baldridge with the 2 says, "It's all I got, friend, that voice though." Thank you, Julia. No worries. It's just good to see you guys. I'm going to be recording these stories anyhow, so this is a good time. Lila, do you normally get like 70 viewers or something? No, Lila, you've been here like how many times? You've seen my viewer count. I believe we usually get like something like 500 people here, give or take, but it might not achieve that till about our peak viewership, which might not be quite yet. Still, I didn't warn anybody about this stream, so that's the only unfortunate part. Do I have a dream car? Maybe like, you remember the thing that Fred Flintstone drove, where you had to use your feet and like cartoonishly just suddenly run really fast to make it go and stop using your calloused toes? That would be my dream. Yeah, Mish B, we did have over 1,000 twice before, actually, so be sure to hit that like button. Maybe we can get to 1,000 folks again. That would be pretty dope AF. Oh my god. Dead Leaf Clover with the $100 dono. My God. Thank you, Dead Leaf. And Dead Leaf was the first person actually to activate my newest notification for anybody that donates over a certain amount. You get that little twerk going. It's courtesy of Natalia and her amazing art skills. But Dead Leaf is our beloved Emily, who has started a narration channel of her own as well. So if you guys are looking for a change up, Dead Leaf is on the up and coming. She just hit 100 subscribers. I would highly suggest all of you to give her a subscription as well. But thank you so much, Emily. I really appreciate that. That was really nice of you. Holy cow. Jensen announces, let's go. Got the hot and fresh butter. Socks are ready to be saturated with the creamy yellow stuff. Hell yeah. That butter sock army is assembling as we speak. We're just chilling out here. Usually what I do for the first part of the stream, as I tell you guys before, is we just like to chit-chat. So feel free to ask me any question that you like, whether it be personal, philosophical, wherever your mind goes. I'm willing to go there with you. Jensen just released a video as well. His content has been pretty hilarious. Cat's Wisdom, you're loving the cat next gen. Yeah, that's good old Pradeep. I forget which tier that you access that when you become a member. If that's 2 months, 3 months, 20,000 months, 20 years perhaps. Holly Harder. It's Holly's birthday. Happy birthday, Holly. How are you enjoying it so far? Tori says, I've been so sick and this is the only comfort that's helped me sleep. So thank you. You're welcome, Tori. Sleep is very important. I suggest getting at least 12 hours a day of sleep. Fusion, I sounded crazy. I am crazy. I'm a wacky and wild dude. Munich, when am I going to start? I'm going to start in 12 minutes. I watch the timer countdown, let some people kind of roll in, almost like a casual lecture hall. And we just kind of have a nice little chill session until that point. I hope to get a countdown timer involved in my stream here in the future. Aaron Noel with the 5 says, hi Joel, I can't stick around for the stream, but here's a 5. I got my merch today. Oh, you did? Okay. Nice. If you got merch, be sure to send that to my Instagram or tag me in a photo you may have posted on there, and then I will repost that onto Instagram to help promote merch and also tag you and show some fan love. Conscious TD Virgo, rather. I appreciate what you do. This helps me on road trips, bored, falling asleep. Also keeps me in the loop of my surroundings. Absolutely. Yeah, one thing that, after you hear sort of similar ways that people approach some of these scary situations, I had a friend who was being followed in the car, and it was like the first thing that came to my mind was, oh yeah, a lot of these people in these stories kind of end up leading the individuals towards police stations and that kind of stuff. So, you kind of, after you hear certain ways of which other examples of individuals have approached things, it kind of gets logged in your brain as maybe that's how I should go about it. Always stay ready. Gothic, thank you for linking the merch website, shop.spreadshirt.com/let's read. And you guys can peek at that if you are oh so interested. Lamboy, yo Joel, what is your favorite butter to dip your socks in? Well, gosh dang, that is a tough question. I mean, you can't go wrong with cow's butter, but Brother's butter is always a delicious alternative to go to, and it's organic. Gling, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Corey says, actually, I've become more aware of my surroundings while walking my dog because your story, that's good. And not that I want to make people paranoid, because that's certainly not always fun, but definitely good to be on the ready, because this world is not perfect. Your mom says unsalted butter. Okay, yeah, I mean, butter's pretty salty baseline. We don't need any extra. Bronx Chica, welcome. Ridley, you did not miss anything. It's your favorite part of the day. I'm glad. We're here to have some fun. Allison says, just want to say thanks for the amazing channel. I put your videos on to go to sleep at night. Thanks for helping me sleep. You're welcome. I'm glad people can use this to sleep, because there's nothing worse than laying in bed at night with nothing but your thoughts and the morning looming ever closer. So I'm glad if I can knock you out. That is my goal. C-New, why does the stream keep cutting out? Shoot, I don't know, to be honest. Let's see. I won't end the stream like we did before, but sometimes if you reset the stream to like 240p or something like that, you should be able to maintain quality of voice. Other than that, I'm not really too sure. There's different things here. So stream output. So my bit rate, so I have it for 1280 by 720. Bit rate is, I believe, the lowest you really can go at 2500. I'm not too sure, to be honest. If you're having issues, that might be difficulty connecting to YouTube servers on your end, and I apologize. Edig says, your channel is so addictive. It's not the first one I found, but you produce a lot more videos than many other channels. What does Unit 522 mean? How did you choose that? So I am not Unit 522. But from what I recall of Unit 522 and his reasoning behind his name is that they believe it has something to do with SCPs. So if you recall SCPs, like there's a there's like different like areas in which SCPs are kept, and I believe one of them was like, you know, they talk about units, and the 522 I believe is his birthday being May 22nd or something like that. So he kind of found a little bit of a mixture of reality and fiction. Siren says, quality reduction in video has succeeded. Alright, yeah, that may be the best answer for some people. Sometimes it can be kind of a struggle trying to find that perfect. But I don't know, we'll have to do some digging, see what I can do on my end later on, but fairly certain I've done all that I can. What kind of mic do I use? It sounds so good. So right now I'm using an AKG C214 for streaming. For my recording mic that I also have in front of me, I use my H4n handy recorder, which then later on I remove the background noise with that in editing. So I got two mics in front of me, one for streaming, one for recording. And Jensen says, guys, to make the stream work better, here's a quick hack. Minimize the chat and hit the like button. That should help. Yeah. First name, last name. Can I sing for you? I don't think I'm a really good singer. I've never been proud of my singing voice, and I've never been complimented on it either, so we will avoid anything singing related. Your mom says SCP stands for Secure, contain, protect, if anybody is wondering about it. It's fictional monsters, yeah. Yeah, you could go write your own SCP right now on their website. If you're into that sort of creative thing. Smash Brawler says, gang, gang, we lit. We are lit, Smash Brawler. And this is gang, gang territory, so welcome, welcome. Ash is here. Welcome, Ash. The Goofy Goober Gang. I'm a Goofy Goober. I may have to get some more water before we... Are we going to celebrate when you hit 1 million? Yeah. There was actually a period of time where like the channel was getting like... Not that long ago, the channel was getting about like 500 to 600 subs a day. And then suddenly it kind of dropped down. We're still doing well around 250 to 300 a day, which is obviously fantastic. But the road to 1 million is steady as she goes right now. Tech, do you know who Mr. Nightmare is? I certainly do. He's a big inspiration for the direction of this channel. Ash, welcome, welcome. Phantom Chaser, I have my late dinner and I'm ready to listen. All right. Greg Conway, have a beer. What kind of beer do you guys like? Do you guys drink much of that old fermented goodness? Alex B, do you listen to a lot of music? If so, what's your favorite band or artist? Well, I do listen to a lot of music, but I can't, someone asked me that yesterday, what's my favorite artist? And I personally can't say that I have a favorite artist. It's a very difficult question. I'm all over this place. I really do like electronic stuff. I love hip-hop. I love mishmashing the two, genres together. I love ambient type stuff. I love experimental stuff. I love folk and, folk music and anything, really any other instruments. I'm not a huge fan of just like the pop genre, like the stuff that's top 40 hits. I feel like they lack a certain sense of soul and inspiration. There are some that kind of resonate within me, but I want to say 95% of the time it's relatively unbearable to listen to top 40 shit. But it's just because I'm a hipster. I'm a hippity hip hipster. Shadowed lady drinking a glass of wine, hanging out with me. I like that. Welcome. Yeah, Radiohead's good. I used to listen to a lot of Radiohead in college. I used to listen to a lot of music on my rides because I used to commute to and from home to school about an hour each way, and just a lot of different music I was able to cover, and a lot of downloading stuff and getting stuff from friends, but we had Pandora back then, but I didn't really have a good smartphone to run it. So I kind of am jealous of everybody growing up with smartphones and endless entertainment at your fingertips. Brendan, do I know Lazy Masquerade? I certainly do. He's a good fellow indeed. Louise, please do be careful while listening, and always watch behind you at all times. My favorite song? That's a really tough one. I really, really can't say. Lately I've been listening to this one song by Mr. Kitty called In Your Arms, and that one has just been hitting me hard every day. It just feels good to listen to and kind of gives me that energy I'm looking for, and I can kind of have it on loop. Sometimes there's songs that I'll like where I'll just listen on loop till I just like get sick of it. Dip Dip by 21 Savage. I like 21. He's I like rap, hip hop, stuff like that. Sometimes it just gives you the sort of badass energy you need, if you know what I mean. All right, guys. So we're about 20 minutes in. We're going to get started on some of these stories. These are your true scary stories from Reddit. So kind of a generic approach. but I know it's everyone's favorite. Those last stories with paranormal definitely got to me. They were creepy AF. Angel, 18 minutes late. That's okay because we're about to kick it off here. We are switching over to my good friend Iron Cthulhu Apocalypse. He's located down in the description below if you're interested in hearing some more dark ambient. This music is from college music, and their free music playlist. This current one that's playing. Having trouble scrolling. DLJ Deep Sleep with Tabal. I'm sure. Does anyone here create music or anything like that? Be Smiley, you still make rap beats. Can't listen to rap anymore. Rap was my first music obsession, especially G-Funk. Oh yeah. Switch over to our reading aesthetic done by the amazing Robin Mikalsen. As you can see on the top, if you have a story that you'd like to hear narrated or have a chance of being narrated during a subscriber story video, go to reddit.com/r/letsreadofficial and you can hear it done.
Full-grown pizza.
Hey. Welcome Ash Ham, a new member. Let's get some cheers for Ash, as they are now a full-grown pizza. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for becoming a member. That's very kind of you. And if you want to follow me on social media, Twitter, Let's Read Creepy, and Instagram, Let's Read .official. All that, everything that you want to know about the channel is located in the description below. You can follow me on there. Join our Discord. It's a great community on there. A lot of good people chatting all the time, doing voice chat. You might catch me in voice chat sometime to chit chat. I'm a very down-to-earth, normal guy. Greg says, "What are my politics?" And then Unexplainable says, "Politics are gay." Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I used to be, and I still am into politics, but I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of politics becoming pop culture. Because many years ago, many moons ago, I remember there was a time when being into politics was kind of like being into like earth science. Like if you went up to somebody in a bar and started talking about earth science, they're like, "What's this nerd talking about?" And it was very boring and very unexciting. And now, because politics has kind of jumped into the mainstream, sort of pop culture, I suppose you could call it, it's really dumbed down the general discussion that people have with each other. And a lot of the times, emotions get involved, name-calling gets involved, things that just generally are not very mature. And I'm just not into it anymore. You know what I mean? Like I used to get excited, but now I realize like to allow yourself to be divided by whether you want to say right versus left and all that kind of stuff, it's not worth your time. It's not worth your energy. It's not worth losing friends over essentially kind of talking points that were potentially spoon-fed to us as individuals, kind of like you were told to think one way or another. And to me, that's just, it's not a higher, as silly as this sounds, it's not a higher vibrational way of existing. So I don't really have any anymore, and I just right now I think I'm just gonna focus on reading some spooky stories. I was 22 when I got pregnant with my now 10-month-old son. I am very close to my husband, 26 at the time, but am not in contact with my narcissistic, abusive parents. As a result, I was feeling scared. There are some things you simply need a mom for, and a first pregnancy is one of them. So I grew closer to Em, a 25-year-old friend of mine who was out of work for reasons she didn't say. Before then, she was a nanny and thought herself to be quite the expert. I stayed at home due to a difficult pregnancy and would text her during the day. The first red flag looking back on it was probably when she said, "I knew it," when I told her I was pregnant. I guess this can be something people say, but then she said, "I had a vision. I simply felt it in the air that someone was pregnant." Okay, I thought, a little odd, but maybe Em was just a bit eccentric. I should also say that my husband did not like me talking to Em. He's usually a laid-back, carefree person, but he was adamant about this. Em apparently dated my husband's best friend Edward and came out about horrid instances of abuse after dumping him quite abruptly. Maybe this did happen, I told my husband, who was annoyed I wouldn't take him at face value. As an abuse victim myself, I like to believe other victims. Looking back, I wish I had listened to him. I told Em I wasn't speaking to my family and that I felt alone. Again, I was pregnant, sick, and vulnerable. "Okay," she said. "Thanks for telling me. You know, family isn't always blood. I can be family for you. I can be there for you. I can throw you a baby shower and help you out. Hey, I even have experience as a..." Oh shit. I actually have no idea what this word means. Dwala? D-O-U-L-A? I guess this is probably the theme. Cover your ears.
Doula.
Doula. Sorry, guys. I wish I could turn down, like, individual websites, like tabs and shit like that. Doula. A doula is a woman, typically without formal obstetric training, who is employed to provide guidance and support to a pregnant woman during labor. Alright, a doula. Hey, I even have experience as a doula, so I can help you along the way. Even though it was not that long ago, I was really naive. I also was really, really lonely without a mom, so I agreed. Soon, Em began showering me with gifts. Crackers I could eat, ginger candies for the nausea, religious baby CDs, stretch mark cream. Some of this seemed a bit too personal for me at the time, but I figured, hey, it's the thought that counts. First trimester was bad, and my OB wasn't taking me seriously. When I told them I was extremely nauseous and couldn't get out of bed, they told me they couldn't prescribe me anything. They told me I would have to go to my primary care doctor for medicine, and I guess I was so exhausted I didn't feel like jumping through many hoops. I will do this definitely during my second pregnancy. I'll do a lot of things differently. That's okay, Em said. In my training, I have learned that there are some drugs that are awaiting FDA approval, but they help nausea like this and work for my previous patient. She gave me these doTERRA pills. I looked it up and found that they were most likely snake oil and a part of what I now realize is a pyramid scheme. I vouched for them, though, and... Sorry. Hey, we're almost at 300 people. That's pretty fast, actually, for... Welcome, everybody who's kind of wandering in here. We are just in our first story. Em vouched for them, though, and said that they were a more holistic approach. And man, my nausea was bad. So the following morning, I took them and immediately and violently threw up. I told her, and she said, "Keep forcing them in your body until it takes, okay?" I called my husband about this, who was pretty angry. Em had come over while he was at work, and he wasn't entirely aware all this was going on. To his credit, he was going through a lot of stress on his own end with a baby on the way. So I texted Em and asked her to tell me more about her formal doula training, to which she said she had none, and the previous patient she had been talking about was her sister. I've looked at videos and read up on things, she said, as vague as ever. But it's truly God's calling for me. Stay by me and I would love to continue to help you. From then on, I was more cautious about Em. I asked her why she was out of work, and she told me she had an invisible illness. When I asked her more specifics, she told me that her bones were wobbly and her muscles would stop working. She said it couldn't be diagnosed and that doctors didn't believe her. The one diagnosis she gave me was fibromyalgia, which I've heard is painful, but I wasn't sure if this was accounting for her being out of work, as she said. My mom had fibromyalgia, but as I said, I'm not in contact with her. To this day, I don't know if Em really was in that much pain. Who am I to say? My point is, though, it felt off. I invited Em to a Friendsgiving we were having around the holidays, and a friend approached me, shaking. "She's talking about your abuse," my friend said. "She says she's helping you through it and how you were going nowhere when she met you." I continued to host the party and eat chips, pregnant, and confronted Em about it after the party, who denied it completely. The only problem was the friend who had told me Sorry, I gotta move this screen over a little bit. I can't, I'm staring, sideways to read this story. I got the wobbly bones, everybody. Also, if anybody stares at their screen all day, I use this program called Flux that basically turns your screen orange, a much easier tint to look at. And I would highly suggest it to anybody who's forced to stare at a screen for long periods of time. Alright, I continued to host the party and eat chips, being pregnant, and confronted Em about it after the party, who denied it completely. The only problem was the friend who had told me had never met Em before and was saying things only Em could say. So I kept my distance. I had a group chat on Facebook Messenger with Crow's... Crap. Emily, how long I've been reading? I want to say probably about 13, maybe 10 minutes. So this is story 1, no worries. I had a group chat on Facebook Messenger with close friends where I gave little updates on how the baby was doing, the gender, the name. His middle name is Fox, which is relevant later. And she was still a part of this. If I had sciatic nerve pain, she had sciatic nerve pain. When I talked about my back hurting and nausea, she had the same exact thing. Finally, she told me, "You're not handicapped like me. You're pregnant. These updates you're giving me are offensive." So I removed her from the chat. Most friends were happy to hear the updates anyways. I'm actually surprised nobody got sick of me, and his middle name Fox caught on. Yes, I do love the X-Files. People started talking about the name and would comment on my statuses with things like, "So excited to see the little fox." Yes, I know it's a little extra. It was my first pregnancy. Em backed off a little bit and apparently, as she briefly mentioned, was in a mental hospital for some time. I didn't know if this was true. I didn't know if anything was true about her at this point. Time passed and in mid-spring she came by again. I had time to cool off and was well into the second trimester, feeling a bit better. She brought by a beautiful baby... Wait, what? Lila says everyone on Discord saying you and Chill should have a rap battle. Dude, he would freaking push me into the dirt. Put my wiener directly into the dirt, he would. Time passed in the okay. She brought by beautiful baby clothes, which I was thrilled about initially, and snacks. Upon looking at the clothes, I saw most of them had lions on them. "How sweet," I said. "Yeah," Em said, "for your little lion pup." I laughed at this, but got a sinking feeling as I opened a card from her that read, "For the little lion," capitalized like Fox in his name. At this time, I was beginning to feel a little strange. My husband actually got home around the time she was there, and being his chill self, tried to play it off. She was openly hostile and said things like, "Good luck using cloth diapers. You all will learn how to parent right eventually. You obviously haven't been parents before." Her husband came by to pick her up and swooped me into a big hug. This surprised me, as Em initially told me her husband had autism, didn't like to touch people or be around them, and didn't like me. He took her home, and my husband and I decided together that that was enough for Em. She was still invited to my baby shower in June, and time passed as it does, and I grew bigger. I was on bed rest, monitoring my contractions. My contractions. Time passed as it does, and I grew bigger. I was on bed rest, monitoring my contractions and using crutches for sciatic nerve pain. My baby shower was sort of my last hurrah before giving birth. The night before I got... The night before, I got a text from Em. "How could you?" she says. "What?" I say. After a bit of prompting, she says, "You gotta pack and play." I had posted some of my nursery things on Facebook. You can even see me asking Reddit about bassinets, deciding on a pack and play here. "Yeah?" I asked. "You gotta pack and play when I got you a bassinet as a gift." Let me just say that a bassinet was not on my registry, but a pack and play was. My grandmother had given me money for one, as she could come to the... My grandmother had given me money for one, as she couldn't come to the shower. I'm actually going back to my old Reddit post to see exactly what Em said. And it was this. "I'm mad you got yourself a pack and play. I got you a bassinet as your gift. A pack and play makes no sense. You don't understand, and you didn't take my advice. You screwed yourself over and am confused by your decisions. How could you get a pack and play before your shower? They don't even work as a bed. They work as a playpen, and infants use those. You're wrong if you think infants don't play. Why are you doing this? I tried discussing safe sleep with you and feel personally negative about what you did. I'm so anxious." For some reason, I took her at face value and answered her as calmly as possible. She continued to say that my idea was poorly researched and simply a bad product. A bad product was what got me. I was about to have a baby, and I was putting a lot of work into already being the best mom I could be. I was also monitoring my stress because, again, highly pregnant. I snapped and said, "Honestly, I'm the mom. I'm making the decisions. If you can't accept that, I'm sorry." Then she says it. The thing she must have been thinking for some time. "Just because you're the mom doesn't mean all the decisions are yours." "Actually," I said, "it does." I'm shaking. She then begins to send me nonsensical text messages, and eventually I stop following. My phone blows up for the rest of the night, and I turn it off. She did come to the shower, but close friends had heard about the situation, and she was treated like a pariah. She gave me the bassinet, directed entirely with... not directed, sorry. Yeah, this lady sounds batshit crazy. Well, yeah. She gave me the bassinet, decorated entirely with lions, as well as a musty box full of old clothes and her hair bands. One onesie read, "Loved by dead grandfather in heaven." Still kind of confused about that one. It's the last I see of her, and I would like to say the last I heard of her, but it's not. This past year, she texted me and told me she was getting a divorce, and just be there. This past year, she texted me and told me she was getting a divorce, and just to be there for her out of solidarity. Apparently, she was devastated. However, she saw said ex-husband at a mutual friend's party, and he told everyone that while he was leaving her, her verbal abuse got too much to bear, so he ended it. He also said that she was having delusions and was hostile about things that didn't even happen. We asked him with caution if he was autistic, and he said no. He even went to 3 doctors to get himself checked out due to her accusations, and all 3 said he was not. We have since gotten closer to my husband's friend Edward, as well as his wife and child. And we told him all of this. He said, "Yeah, I don't go on about it, but I in fact did pick her up from a mental hospital once. She's bipolar and schizophrenic. But I can't even be sure about that." Now, in light of making this post, I looked at her Facebook. Another one of her friends is pregnant, and I saw her post. "I love my friend's children like they were my own." So, to the pregnant friend, God help you, and don't take those doTERRA pills. That's so freaking weird. I remember reading a story one time about like a girl who was at a grocery store or something like that, or maybe it was a dad actually with his kids at the grocery store, and one was in the stroller, and some weird creepy lady got freaking just super awkward about the baby, and like almost like borderline tried to run away with the baby or something like that. It was an old story, but it was pretty strange. I'm going to go grab some water very quickly. I will be right back. It's interesting, I don't know, it's just interesting to me that some, like, streamers can stream for, like, freaking, like, 8 hours. Those people that do, like, 24 hours. Like, I just can't believe some people can play games for that long. It's just insane. Emily says, "Let's get wasted." That's up to you. But just make sure you're responsible about it. You know what is really interesting I've been reading about, and it's something that I've been into for a long time and has a lot of good uses, but is apple cider vinegar. But more so in the idea of like apple cider vinegar for weight loss. Because, I don't know, there's this one YouTube channel that I watch, and really intelligent guy, a lot of like, I guess you could say holistic, hippy-dippy type approaches, but he goes into the science of it, I forget his name actually, but talking about apple cider vinegar and just talking about creating more of an acidic environment in your digestive tract with the use of apple cider vinegar with your, with your water or what, that kind of thing is really good for digestion and the sort of distribution of minerals, and then also like kickstarting your thyroid, which helps to regulate the hormones that essentially can cause you to either gain weight or lose weight, and help speed up your metabolism and that kind of thing. So I'm all for apple cider vinegar. It has so many different uses. I remember one of my friends, they were a jiu-jitsu individual doing on the mats all day, people who do wrestling, and people who do wrestling might be more familiar with that, but basically he got ringworm, which ringworm is like a fungus that can grow on the skin, or contracted from, other wrestling around with other individuals. And he used apple cider vinegar kind of essentially almost like a bandage because it actually was on his head. And within a very short period of time, the fungus had, essentially gone completely away. So I'm definitely an advocate for apple cider vinegar. First name, last name, I will never read another story again, my friend. That was the last one I've ever read, and all I'm going to do is talk about apple cider vinegar forever. Mullen, you keep getting cut out as well. Yeah, I don't really know. I legitimately do not know what constitutes issues with YouTube streams. I don't know if you watch any other streams on YouTube, and if you have any issues with them or not, but I think everything I have should be pretty perfect, but it's hard to say. Your friend sounds like a fun guy. Burrito sore. Can we talk about burritos? Yeah, let's get on the burrito train. Alright, so this next one should be fun. It's called Naked Intrudee, which means someone breaking into your house is naked. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest where you left your doors unlocked and came home when the streetlights turn on at dusk. After moving away for college, I decided to move back to my quiet, sleepy hometown in one of the 2 apartment buildings. I'm living there for roughly 3 months when one night I go to sleep early on a Friday night. Now, I'm a reasonably hard sleeper, so when I wake in the middle of the night to noises, I'm immediately alarmed. I'm going to describe my apartment layout for a better understanding. As you walk in the front door, the kitchen is to the left and living room to the right. There's a hallway straight ahead with one bedroom at the end. A bathroom is to the left in the hall and my bedroom to the right. I get up from my bed, walk around the end of my bed, and peek my head out of the bedroom door. I look to the left to see my front door open to the outside hallway. There's a loud voice coming from my enlightened kitchen. From my vantage point, I'm unable to see into my kitchen. I froze. This fact I've left out of the telling of this story since. It's not something I'm very proud of, but I want to relay this story in its entirety. It may have been a couple of heartbeats, but to me it felt like an eternity. I come to my senses after realizing that I've stopped unconsciously breathing. I take a shallow breath to steady my mind and gather my bravery. There's no thought process about what to do at this point. I let my body and my instincts take over. I turn around and head back to the far side of the bed. I grab my phone from the nightstand and quietly remove it from the charger. Luckily, my bed frame is high enough for me to squeeze under without much difficulty. I immediately realize there is no escape from my hiding spot if things turn south. I'll have to rely on luck to get me through this. I dial 911 and a woman answers and asks about my emergency. I briefly explain in a whisper that an unknown man is in my apartment and that I'm currently safe. I lay there, listening to the chaos in my home, reassured by the presence of my cat Marcy laying under the bed with me. It seems to me that he's on the phone based on the one... Whoops. It seems to me that he's on a phone call based on the one-sided rambling. I tell the operator this fact and explain my fear that he's going to bring other people into my home. He was making enough sound to allow me to give a play-by-play on the call. He starts screaming about killing someone. I'm unsure at this point whether he's talking to the person on the phone or if he knows I'm there. The voice is unfamiliar, but this does little to ease my terror. He then starts ringing the doorbell in the outside hallway and yelling for me to come out. My blood runs cold as I realize that he might come to try and find me. Marcy is alarmed by the doorbell. That doesn't cease. Marcy is alarmed by the doorbell. That hasn't ceased ringing, and she creeps out from under the bed. I panic. What if he hurts her? I start whispering as loudly as possible to get her attention without letting him know my location. She senses my unease and crawls back under the bed with me. At this point, it's felt like an eternity, and I ask the operator how long until the police arrive. She is unsure but assures me that they are on their way. My town is roughly a 30-minute drive to the nearest city police, but I assume there's a highway patrol that would be coming soon. Little did I know that safety was into rush to get to me. Oh, safety as a noun. Little did I know that safety was into rush to get to me. That doesn't make any sense. Little did I know that safety was into rush to get to me. Little did I know that they were in a rush to get to me. I heard him walking around my apartment and enter my extra bedroom, which is my storage room with a bed. He hasn't stopped yelling. I'm still unaware whether he is on the phone or not. I hear him mention that it must be a kid's room. I shush the operator because he ceased his screaming for a moment. I hear more noises like he's going through boxes and throwing things. Then my fear is realized, as I hear him quietly enter my room. I see his feet walk to my closet from my vantage point. He starts going through my clothes and emptying my hamper onto the floor. He turns around and walks to my bed and sits down. I stop breathing. I think he lays down at this point since the pressure of the bed lessens on top of me. He's deadly silent and I'm still holding my breath. There's shuffling and moving around and he gets up and walks out of my room. I take a shallow breath and steady my conviction. He starts making noise again like he's throwing and punching things. I informed the operator that he was just in my room and the police need to hurry. I don't know how long I can keep Marcy under the bed and concerned about what could happen if he finds me. He walks back into the kids' room quietly. I shush the operator again because she is constantly asking me for a play-by-play. I hear him breathing from the other room. After the quietest few minutes of my life, he yells, "Who's there?" I freeze again, listening for a moment. I freeze again, listening for movement. Nothing. I'm starting to get lightheaded from my shallow breathing. The silence is deafening, and I fear he's trying to detect me. After a lifetime, I hear footsteps entering my apartment. I hear Fuck. I suck. Yeah, he's trying to find some clothes to wear. This looks nice. I hear a man's voice say, "Hey, bud. You're in the wrong house." I've never felt more relieved in my life before this night or since. I hear my door close and I crawl out from under the bed and break down. The adrenaline and anxiety take over as soon as the feeling of safety washes over me. A female officer comes around to my side of the bed and puts her hands on my shoulders. I'm trying to keep it together and failing miserably. She let me put it close. Okay, she let me put clothes on, and I could hear 3 male voices coming from my apartment. The woman left and came back with a handful of clothes asking if they weren't mine. They all were, and I answered in a What? The woman left and came back with a handful of clothes asking if any weren't mine. They all were, and I answered in kind. She shut the door behind her as she left again. I turned and looked out my window and see no lights from the cop car on the street. I look at my phone and realize the call to 911 took 19 minutes. I can't explain the feeling I had at this time since many hit me all at once. The door opened and the officer motioned to have me exit. Taking a first look at my home was almost as anxious as the event itself. My apartment was a complete mess. Clothes were everywhere, mixed with garbage and other belongings from my shelves and counters. This man had removed items that he had intended on taking and placed them in the outside hallway. They tell me that they had found him on the floor in the second room completely naked, holding a bottle of lotion. In his vicinity, there was a winter hat with an unknown substance inside. The officer was kind enough to throw that in a garbage bag immediately. They tell me to look and see if any of the clothes in the apartment do not belong to me. I tell them no. This man entered my home completely naked, destroyed my home. I noticed that the lid of my garbage can was filled with cat poop. It seems that it had been separated from the rest of the bag. The rest of the garbage was littering the outside hallway. They asked me if I would like to stay here or go elsewhere. Thankfully, my parents lived down the street, and I had an officer drive me there. I explained to my parents what had just happened, and in the next few days, I have to explain this situation to what felt like half the town. The ridiculousness of this story catches people's attention and becomes a slight joke. I play along, attempting to be lighthearted, but I'm unable to disassociate from the horror I faced. Now, I should feel better knowing that he is in custody, but the events after the break-in do little to comfort me. An officer shows up with a subpoena to appear in court to testify, but I receive a call for a postponement. I just wanted this to be behind me. After a month, I call the phone number on the paper I received and ask when they are rescheduling for since. After a month, I call the phone number on the paper I received and ask when they are rescheduling for since I hadn't heard anything. The woman informs me that they mailed another and I had not shown up. I asked, "Where was it sent, since I have not received any summons?" She tells me they sent it to my address, but the wrong town. How can they not know where I live? The crime happened there. She tells me that he pled guilty and was given 180 days. I was furious. This man would get out in a short 8 weeks for attempting to steal and entering my home. She reassured me that he also received another 180 for a previous bench warrant he had. What justice is there that someone with priors gets a short 3 months for traumatizing a stranger? After his release, I kept track of his location using the offender registry. He had had relations with a child years prior, and makes his statements about the kids' room even more unsettling. He was arrested, yet again, for a 4th DUI shortly after his release and sentenced to 5 years with 2 suspended. I was happy for a while. My nightmares hadn't ended, but the tension I felt during my waking hours lessened. It has been 2 years since this happened, and I've since moved 3 times. I don't know if I'll ever be content and happy anywhere, but I'm hoping that this is not the case. He was released 6 months after his conviction for some reason or another on parole. He immediately disappeared and fled from his parole officer and offender registry. I'm currently planning a cross-country move to try to rest my mind. I'm hoping to someday grow out of the nightmares. And to the naked man, I hope to never meet you again. That's pretty creepy. I'll probably use that as the opening story, but the title of the story is Naked Intrudee, and I'm wondering if naked would be a bad word to use in a YouTube video. Let's see, what's synonyms for naked? Of a person without clothes. Okay, so synonyms include nude, bare, in the nude, stark, naked, with nothing on, stripped. unclothed, undressed, uncovered, in the state of nature, disrobed, unclad, undraped, exposed. Exposed might be good. Exposed intruder. Immediately demonetized. Bare-assed, buck naked. That'll be it right there. Buck wild, in the nutty, mother naked. As naked as the day one was born. These are pretty funny. Birthday suit, yeah. Intruder in his yeah, that'd be good. Intruder in his birthday suit. No bad words allowed on YouTube, or they'll kick down your door and take your firstborn. This is true, which would be Pradeep. That'd be a very sad day. Alrighty. So this is kind of like a dialogue story here, about kind of a back and forth, called Security Guards Are Supposed to Protect People, Not Stalk Them. Actually, maybe... You know what I might do? Is save that, because I'm actually working on a security guard story video, and that one would actually be perfect to go in there, and I didn't even notice it until now. So let me find another one. He had been girl has been following me for 2 years. Oh, okay. This is a pretty popular one here. Is poppin'. Breaking an entry in the raw. That'd be great. B-suit bandit. Yeah, we got a lot of options here, so I appreciate you guys brainstorming. Naked and afraid. Yeah, that would be hilarious. He was naked. I was afraid. Emily Leisure. Yeah, we didn't have a mistake counter thus far, so you can start it now if you'd like. Emily says, my sister got stalked by her neighbor a few years back. He stopped when he turned 18. Yikes. Jensen says, another good title would be Naked Ass Dude Scared the Dog Shit Out of Me. Yeah, that'd be kind of sweet if YouTube just did not give a freaking poop. Nude and rude. Hell yeah. Alright, so this one's called Girl Has Been Following Me for 2 years. That's a long time to be followed. This story starts around the fall of 2017. I was walking back to work from lunch when I passed this girl and noticed she got up and started walking behind me. She took a different route and didn't follow me. Now, a few days later, it happened again, but this time she was following me. I assumed she wasn't following me at the time because where my office building is situated, you have to go up a set of stairs and pass a few other buildings, and she did not follow me to my building. After a while, I noticed we took the same train home. A lot of the times she would be watching me. When we made eye contact, she'd look away. Then she'd continue looking when she thought I wasn't looking. There's a Whole Foods across from my office. I went there for lunch a couple of times during the week. I started seeing the girl sitting in the window for lunch, and she would almost always get up as soon as I left and walk the same way I did. Around this time, I began seeing her more frequently. During lunchtime or when I got to the metro, she was almost always there. After a couple of months of this, oh crap, dude. So there's like a I'm going to have to stop for a second here. Not the actual stream, but just the stories, because there's like a baseball stadium near my house for minor league. And every time they win, they light off fireworks. It's real stupid. So I just have to wait for that whole process to get done with. Hopefully it's not too much longer. Lila W with the 2 says, "You're my favorite narrator. Thank you for existing." You're welcome. Thank you to whoever made me exist. Thanks, God. Well, Natalia, I know that you guys can't hear them, but my microphone picks up, my other microphone that I'm recording on picks up all that stuff, so it might interfere. Yeah. Fireworks in the story might sound kind of cool, actually. That may have been the shortest amount of fireworks ever, because normally it goes on for like at least 20 minutes of just freaking nonsense. Hey, we're at 380 viewers currently. If you guys get a chance, be sure to hit that like button, and maybe it will alert other people to the stream. Alright, we're just gonna go for it. David Poole, what am I most afraid of? I feel like, honestly, the only time that I ever have like a lot of anxiety, because I don't really get anxiety, in life overall, like too much. But the time that I get the most anxiety is when I'm in the open water. Swimming in open water to me is like my biggest fear, I guess, because of like movies like Jaws and just generally swimming. I mean, I can swim pretty well, but like just sort of the idea of just like floating there when you don't really know like what's below you, just a giant great white shark just like plowing you in the air, or even just grabbing something, even just a normal shark that sees you and grabs you and pulls you under, or like an alligator or something. Not like any of those scenarios would ever happen, I feel like, or highly unlikely to happen, but this is definitely some of my biggest fear. Also, I don't want to get eaten by bears. Like if you're in a tent and a grizzly bear is like sniffing around outside, I don't want to end up like Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, and the rip currents. Yeah, that would suck. Reptilian, you were 100% terrified once. Yeah, I've never... The feeling of fear is not the greatest thing ever. Snappy Bakes, the movie Open Water is scary and tedious. I was going to say, if it's just about two people slowly waiting to get eaten by sharks, I feel like that would be either boring or just really ominous the whole time. There's a Whole Foods across from my office. I went there for lunch a couple of times during the week. I started seeing the girl sitting in the window for lunch, and she would almost always get up as soon as I left and walk the same way I did. Around this time, I began seeing her more frequently. During lunchtime or when I got to the metro, she was almost always there. After a couple of months of this, I started noticing that she would get off at the same station as me sometimes. Sometimes she would walk the same way as me. Once I got to my place, I live in a condo with my brother, she would always pass by but never follow me up to the entrance. During this time, I started receiving phone calls at work from random phone numbers that, at the time, I assumed were spam. There would either be silence on the end or the person would hang up immediately. I also started receiving fake Facebook requests from people I already knew or were already on my friends list. December of 2017 comes. By this time, I'm not going to Whole Foods as often. If she gets off at the same station as me, I go into a restaurant or go shopping for groceries before I go home. Around this time, an old friend I went to high school with contacts me kind of out of the blue. She said she wanted to follow me on Instagram. We texted a couple of times and I asked her, oops. Oh yeah, I'm 29 years old. 29 rotations around the sun. From Earthball. Earthball 1. Also, I'm really curious. Didn't they say Titan, one of the moons of is it Jupiter or Saturn? I have no idea. Isn't Titan possibly inhabitable? What do you guys think? Should we go there? Should I stream from Titan? Also, I wonder how the internet, like if you live really far away, how you're gonna get good internet out in the in space. She said she wanted to follow me on Instagram. We text a couple of times, and I accept her follow request. She contacts me again about a month later from a different number, but this time she's texting me frequently. I'm talking about every day or every other day. I'm not one to be mean or show when I'm annoyed too often, but after months of this, when she asks me if she's texting me too frequently, I don't hesitate to tell her that she could lay off a bit. She stops for a week or so, then starts texting frequently again. This whole ordeal should have sent red flags up for several reasons. During this time, she would ask me so many random questions like, when would you... Whoops. Tiny Green Turtles, what's up? Welcome back, welcome back. Yeah, you've missed all the streamies. I guess I was gone for a bit, so I could see why people would get out of the rhythm. I don't hesitate to tell her that she could lay off a bit. She stops for a week or so, then starts texting frequently again. This whole ordeal should have sent red flags up for several reasons. God, I said reasons, dude. I need to take one of those like classes when you're a kid to get rid of your lisp. This whole ordeal should have sent red flags up for several reasons. During this time, she would ask me so many random questions like, when you would do, like when, what the fuck, when you would do, when, or, oh, okay, what? She meant to type what? Ashham, why do you keep losing video feed? Dude, that sucks. There's so many people that are losing video feed, and I have no idea why. The best thing I've heard is that just like turn the quality of the stream down. That's really all I can say. Never happens on Twitch. Yeah, fuck. I don't know if it's YouTube or people's internet. I mean, I don't know. Sorry, dudes. I'm definitely gonna try to do some research into that here and see if I can get it down to like the lowest possible requirements necessary for internet connection, and definitely check mine. 13 past midnight, what's up? Happy Sunday, my dude. Happy Sunday. Alright, fuck. I don't hesitate to... Hey, Julia Baldridge with the 20 says, hey friend, I lied. Do a face reveal. You can see my face, and well, first off, thank you so much for the 20. That's very kind of you. And honestly, you can turn it, or what am I saying? Sorry. You can find my face in Discord. So if you join our Discord, which should be linked down below in the description, you can join that and find Go to the selfies channel, the pinned messages, and I've got pictures of my face, videos of ASMR videos I've did with other channels. A lot of good stuff on there. If you're trying to make a 3D model of me and maybe like a sex doll or something of me, that's fine. Whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, it's out there, baby. Okay, I'm so lost with this story. I'm not one to be mean or anything. I don't hesitate. Okay, geesh Louise. This whole ordeal should have sent red flags up for several reasons. During this time, she would ask me so many random questions like, what would you do when you're trying to get to know someone? She would ask for selfies, which I declined because I don't like taking pictures of myself, and I would tell her there are plenty of pictures of me on Facebook. She would ask what I'm doing on the weekends and the names of my friends on occasion, which I wouldn't tell her because I thought it was weird that she wanted to know my friends' names. I only sent her a couple of videos of fun things I do, but that's it. August 2018 rolls around. I'm still seeing Creepy Girl everywhere during the week. I get pulled into my boss's office. He says that a few coworkers received fake screenshots from Facebook of me talking badly about them. Now, I've never posted on Facebook and would never talk badly about my coworkers on social media. I don't have a grudge with anyone, nor do I know of anyone who has a problem with me. I'm a fairly easygoing guy. I managed to clear things up with everyone involved and still had my job. Of course, my friend is still texting me fairly frequently, and I tell her what happened a couple of days later when I got home from work. I tell her I don't want to get too much into it, but she keeps pushing for details. I finally told her I was going to bed, and she got the message. The more I thought about the time she texted me, the more uneasy I got. Some things that she did just didn't make sense, especially from the way I remembered her. We had kept in touch over the years, just not as frequently, and we hadn't touched base for a while before I heard from her in December. A couple of weeks later, I decided to reach out to my friend on Instagram, but the Instagram she last messaged me through wasn't there. However, there was still an Instagram for her that I followed, and that follows me back. I reached out to her and asked her what phone number was. Pee-pee Sauce. Holy shit, that's a funny name. Pee-pee Sauce with the $2. Thank you, Pee-pee Sauce. Oh my god. I always think of, like, funny names that would, like, if you watch, like, the, Overwatch Contenders or Overwatch League, I always thought it'd be funny if they, like, actually had funny names and not, like, you know, normal names. Because Pee-pee Sauce would be the best name ever. Oh boy, I am feeling it. I reached out to her and asked her what her phone number was. Phone number is completely different, and it turns out that she was never the one texting me, nor did she request following me on Instagram. I tracked the number, and it turns out to be from one of those fake phone number apps. I request to be blocked from the service, and I never heard from my friend again. After talking about it with my brother and a couple of friends, I'm almost 100% certain it was the girl that's been following me. These things only started after she appeared. The phone calls to my office, the fake Facebook requests. A few days before I was pulled aside by my boss, my friend texted me and told me she had a weird feeling about me and wanted to make sure I was okay. I just thought that she was being weird at the time and didn't think too much of it. This whole ordeal is really scary when I look back on it because I sent videos of myself and my address at one point. My friend even confirmed a post my brother made with pictures he tagged me on Facebook. I was texting a stranger for 8 months about my life, and they also apparently have access to my Facebook page. I still see this girl since she's obviously works in the same area as me. She doesn't follow me around as much, but when she does, she sees me on the metro. Wait, what? Pee-pee Sauce and Poo-poo Sauce joining together as an epic duo. when I was like at the lake for my like trip, I like jumped in the water and my ears like flooded with water, like lake water and shit. And I like didn't really feel quite right. Like I didn't really feel like I got the water out there. I did take some swimmer's ear stuff like the next day. But I've just like kind of like felt as if though my sinuses have been really strange. Not necessarily infected or anything of that nature, but just generally clogged since that time, which has been like a week. And I don't really know what to do about that. Yeah, anybody gonna storm Area 51 here in November or September? Tabitha Hawk says, "Hey everyone, hope everyone's been lifted and gifted tonight. Much love and prosperity. Keep rocking these stories, and I can't get enough." Thanks, Tabitha. Have a good one. Poo Poo Sauce is actually your best friend. Tyler Mesa, Aka, what does it take to be a member? I believe there's a button for that. It says like join. And it's like $5 a month or something like that. Kind of like becoming a subscriber on Twitch. Mornades is in the middle of storming. We're live from Area 51. Alright, well, I gotta finish this story. Oh my god. I still see this girl since she obviously works in the same area as me. She doesn't follow me around as much, but when she does see me on the metro, she always watches me or sits somewhere she will be able to make eye contact with me. I'm always careful now if anyone texts me from an unrecognizable phone number, and I'm just paranoid. I know the story might seem a bit all over the place, especially with the conclusion I came to of the girl posing as my friend, but I had to get this off my chest. And another reason I didn't suspect my friend wasn't really my friend at first was that she knew a lot of details about me. She obviously had my phone number but knew my mom's name and my brother's name, where I went to college, and the fact that we went to high school together. She also talked about her school and major, where my friend really did go to school at the time in her real major. She even managed to find out my special nickname a few of my coworkers call me, which was when I first started getting a little uneasy. A lot of research was done on me and my friend who was impersonated. Her Instagram was public until I told her she was being impersonated, which was super scary to think about when I reflected on how much was known about me. My mom's Facebook page is also mostly public. She's a professor and an author and a public figure, not famous or anything, but well known in her field, so that may have been where information and probably more pictures were collected of me. Thank you for the many suggestions. I will take them into consideration. I've seen a few people ask whether or not she's hot. The first time I saw her, I thought she was attractive. When I realized she was following me, all of her attractiveness flew out the window, as it should. The reason I haven't been to the police and am still hesitating is because I'm not sure if I can prove it, and I know that most of the time the police don't take stalking cases as seriously as they should. I'm not expecting this to blow up like it did. I mostly created this profile to post this story. Thank you seriously to everyone for your concern and helpful suggestion. Fuck it, I'm not going to read that part. The reason I haven't been to the police and am still hesitating is because I'm not sure if I can prove it. And I know that most of the time the police don't even take stalking cases as seriously as they should. Reptilian. You can see all the evidence and pictures in the classified portions of the Congressional Library. Just find Project Blue Book in the Congressional Library. Huh. About Area 51. Yeah. I guess Area 51, what is it, just like a military testing base? I mean, I doubt that they would have kept, like after all these years and all the notoriety, kept every alien thing there specifically. I'm sure they've got tons and tons of other bases. It is interesting also, like, I don't know, just how people keep things under wraps after all these generations, you know? One of the most interesting conspiracy theories I've heard of, not necessarily conspiracy theories, but just general things that could happen, is the possibility of, like, say our government does have, like, some sort of alien technology that's, like, thousands of years ahead of us, or, you know, some shit like that. And then they pretend to be aliens and attack humans, or attack Earth, or attack some area, and then suddenly say it's aliens, and now there's a new sort of ominous threat of, like, aliens, and then everyone sort of gives up more rights to be protected by the government, in the name of fighting, you know, lizard people or some shit. But that would be interesting, because that would be the big, just like one day you wake up and something bad happens and they're like, oh, it was aliens. Sorry, guys. They're real. Oh, alright. So this was called He Somehow Found Me. He found me. Should make a channel on Discord to talk about conspiracy theories. I certainly can do that. I guess that's a little bit different than politics, so it would be good to diversify. FBI, open up. This happened in January, a year and a half ago, on my way into work one cold, wintry Friday morning. I had a rough start that day. I remember waking up in a panic as I realized that I was holding my phone in my hand and had been hitting snooze on my alarm for the last hour. I wasn't even given a chance to the sound. Apparently, as soon as my phone started to vibrate, which it does a second or so before the music begins to play, I would hit the side button to silence it. I was exhausted. I had already worked Monday through Thursday, 10-hour days that typically turn into 12s at that time of the year, and I just found out that I was pregnant the week prior. So I was even more tired than normal, and this type of behavior was very unlike me. I'm always on time to work. I don't usually work on Fridays, but once a year we have our annual mandatory training for all staff members. It's definitely not a day that can be missed or one to be extremely late to, so I quickly throw on some clothes, tie my hair up into a ponytail, and brush my teeth. Then out the door I went. I had 25 minutes until I had to be there, so I didn't even let my car warm up. As I pulled out of my driveway, I remember thinking to myself that my dad would kill me if he knew. He's a mechanic, and that was something he always preached the importance of. I finally get out of the neighborhood, hit the highway, and notice that my gas light is on. Another annoyance that would cut into my time, but I decided that I would stop once I got off on the exit, as I had a few minutes to spare, so I did. I pulled my car up to the pump and turned it off, hopped out into the freezing cold to get the gas station. Reptilian research, you have a unique perspective towards reptilians. I would like to hear your unique perspective. Emily Leisure, you should make a podcast where you sit down and talk about theories and stuff. Yeah, I want to, but I don't have the time. Gil, Joel Cheesecake. That is my true name. How do you know, Gil? Reptilian says, no shape-shifting, no cannibal world leaders. Alright. I guess we'll find out soon what you know, good friend. Alright, what was I doing? I don't usually work on Fridays. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. I don't usually work... Wait, why am I lost? It was something about gas. Fuck. Okay. I pull my car up to the pump and turn it off. Hop out into the freezing cold to get the gas started and quickly jump back in. There's a guy, about my father's age, pumping gas into his white work truck right in front of me, but I don't really pay him much mind. Those trucks were everywhere near my workplace. At that time, as it's near the river where all the bridge construction had been going on. I'm texting my friend from work, letting her know where I am, when I get that feeling someone is looking at me. I look up and make eye contact with the work truck guy. He quickly looks away just as I hear the gas click off. I get back out to finish, and I don't think anything else about it, then hop back in, ready to get to work. At this point, I probably had about 5 minutes left, which would have been plenty considering the proximity. I press the start button. Click, click, click. Uh-oh, I thought as I did it again, only to hear the same sound. What do you know? My car won't start. Battery's dead, and for the second time that morning I thought of my dad and his advice. If I would have just let it warm up, I wouldn't be having this problem right now. I try for a third time, hoping it's the charm, but it's no use. The guy in the work truck notices at this point. He starts to make his way towards me, so I step out of the car. He asks me if I'm having car trouble, and I tell him I think my battery's dead. He tells me that he can help me, but that he doesn't have jumper cables in this particular truck. He does, however, only work right down the road. He is on one of the bridge crews, just as I assumed, and has a set there. He says he will run to get them and come right back. I tell him that he doesn't have to do that, but he says he doesn't mind at all. I think about it for a second. My husband's at home already asleep at this point. He works third shift, and I don't want to wake him up if there's no need, and my dad's already at his job. I remember thinking that he probably has a kid my age somewhere, one who would hope someone would help in this type of situation one day. That he's probably just a father trying to help, so I say okay and thanked him for his help. He said no problem and that he'd be back in a couple of minutes and left to get jumper cables. I usually have a set in my car, but had loaned them to my brother the week before, and he hadn't returned them yet. As I'm waiting, I called my boss to let her know what was going on, and that I would be in as soon as possible. She offers to send someone out there for help, but I tell her about the work truck guy and that I'll call her back if that doesn't work. By the time I hang up, he's back with the cables, and we get my car started back up again. We let it run for a few minutes and make small talk. That's of little importance, like typical strangers do when they're trying to fill the silence. It's during this time that he asks me if I'm a nurse. Immediately, I'm alarmed because I'm not wearing any scrubs. I think he can see the shock on my face because he quickly said that he noticed my license plate when he was pulling back in. I laughed in relief and slight embarrassment as I remember that my license plate is in fact one of the state-issued nursing ones and reply that yes, I am a nurse and that I'm actually running late for work. He asks if I work at the hospital up the road, to which I reply that no, I do not. Now he's the one that looks confused because where else would a nurse work, right? I don't want to give too much away. I'm still a woman and I do watch the news, and I feel a little uncomfortable with the questions, but I don't want to be rude. So I say, oh, I work at a facility not too far from here, and leave it at that. I mentioned again how I'm running late, and he unhooks the jumper cables. I thank him again, and we both get in our vehicles and drive away. I let him pull out first, and then I proceed to take a roundabout way to work, just in case he was watching. I felt kind of silly, but you never know, right? I finally get to work, and I jump straight into the training. I honestly don't think about what happened that morning again, except here and there when coworkers ask a few questions in the break room during lunch. The long day finally comes to an end, and we all head out. As I'm walking towards my car, I see a piece of paper shoved down into the driver's side window. I stand there and look at it for a second, thinking of the guy from that morning, and then glance around the parking lot. I don't see anything unusual and remind myself that he didn't know where I worked. I laugh for being so paranoid because it's probably a note from my best friend who actually does work at the hospital a few blocks over. We leave each other notes occasionally if we see each other's cars we drive by. I started it back when she was going through a rough time the year before, and it just kind of became our thing. As I'm sure you can guess, the note wasn't from her. It was from the work truck guy that morning. I don't remember it all word for word, but most of it I know I'll never forget. It made my skin crawl and thoroughly freaked me out. It listed his phone number at the top with an arrow pointing to it that said, "Call soon, love," with a smiley face. It said that he felt like we had this connection, one of two souls, and that he wanted to continue to get to know me. That he knew the reason why he was at that gas pump in front of me that morning was so that he could find me, because the Lord knows he was been searching for me for so many years now, that he couldn't just let me slip away. We just couldn't ignore fate like that. No, not when it had been made as clear as it was that morning. I drooped that piece of paper. Whoops. All right, some donos here from some friendos. Make sure I didn't miss a previous one. Sorry. Also, I feel like I missed reptilians. Unique perspective on reptilians. Rose Tyler with the 1. Thank you, Rose. And Will Norgren with the $2 says, "Make me a story, Papa." Make me a story, Papa. That I can do, son. That I can do. Original Asherella with the 5 says, "Woohoo, new boots arriving on the FedEx truck tomorrow." All right. Those boots, they were made for arriving. And that's just what they'll do. And those boots will arrive all over your front porch. Crizia Ramillo with the 10 Canadian says, "Only can give this much, gotta save a few to buy some textbooks for uni." No, thank you so much, Crizia. Thank you, appreciate it. I know how expensive uni books can be. Dear God. I started going to half.com. I don't even know if it exists anymore. It was an affiliate of eBay, and basically you could get like textbooks and stuff that were gently used for way cheaper than you could at your local university's bookstore, which is crazy, dude. Like, Green Turtle says, "Somehow closed captioning got turned on and apparently Joel is getting donuts with his friends." I wish. That sounds amazing. Ariel, what up, what up? Dude, yeah, unibooks are a serious scam. Like, why isn't there like a universal Kindle or something that you get for university, or a laptop or whatever, or literally just, a laptop and a website that people go to, and every university book is on some directory that like is incorporated into your tuition or some shit, and you can just access your books there, and it's mandatory that the books need to be accessible via that. I'm sure there's got to be some sort of like if I was a politician, I would definitely implement that. Piss a lot of people off, but I mean, Jesus Christ, books, like, that's such a waste of like materials, and books do not, I repeat, do not need to be hundreds of dollars. It's guaranteed a freaking racket scam. I drooped that piece of paper like it was on... I said drooped again. It says drooped, but it's dropped. I dropped that piece of paper like it was on fire. Felt my heart drop with all the panic and paranoia that came after reading it. I was so freaked out that I immediately called my mom, my dad, and my husband. I didn't want to drive home. What if he followed me? Did he not see my wedding ring? How did he even find out where I worked? He literally had to have driven through about 20 other medical facility parking lots just to find my car, because I watched him drive off in the other direction and never saw him turn around in my rear view. Trust me, I was watching. My work building is kind of hard to find, too, with it being off the main road on a side street. especially for a man that lived a couple of hours north from here, as he told me earlier during our small talk. He wouldn't have been familiar with the surrounding area enough just to come upon my car like that. I didn't walk in or out of work by myself for months after that, not until well after the bridge was finished. It's already a nightmare when I arrive to work and for part of the year when I leave, so there was no way I was going to walk across that dark parking lot by myself. I've never seen him again, but that hasn't stopped me from feeling like someone is watching me at random times. That type of paranoia just kind of sticks with you. If only I had just listened to my dad's advice and let my car warm up, but that's a mistake I have not and will not ever make again. We're almost at 450 viewers as we near story 5 of 8. Restarted your phone. Internet went out. Uh-oh. Lave, his voice is so good for these kind of stories. It's insane. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. It makes me feel happy. Jacob says you're on vacation. This might be the best thing that will happen, and I'm at the beach. Yeah, sometimes the beach, I mean, it is good. If you can, I mean, hopefully you're getting some good relaxing time in. It'd be kind of interesting to just lay on the beach at nighttime. I wonder if anybody just does that, like sets up a chair, oh dude, set up a bed on the beach at nighttime. Just sleep on the beach. Granted, you're kind of open, but sounds pretty baller to me. Ashham with the 2 buckarones. And Cheyenne Dory Bob, welcome back with the 2, says, why go to college when I can buy so many tacos? This is such a great point that a lot of people overlook, but tacos are delicious, and they need to be eaten, and how much of your time has been wasted in classes when, in reality, there's all these freshly grown tacos from the taco tree that you could just be plucking from your taco paradise. PP Sauce says, I'm literally downloading a couple of podcasts to listen to on a plane ride tomorrow. Yeah, it's a good idea. Definitely get them ready, because I made the mistake of getting on a plane recently with really nothing to listen to. Like, I have 2 albums on my iPod, because, I just use Pandora and Apple Music otherwise. On my iPhone, rather. And, so I just had this one book that had a Kindle audiobook on it, and it was interesting, but it certainly wasn't my most ideal situation. Reptilian, you were sleeping in a sleeping bag next to a fire pit when they got you. Uh-oh. The reptilians found you, dude. Oh, man. Also, hit that like button if you haven't already, guys. Let's get some more peeps in here. The YouTube algorithm loves that when you get engagement and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for commenting and being super positive, too. Lave, I am 29, my friend. I am 29. So he followed me, and this one also is about getting followed. It's like a follow quest. What if everybody that's follows somebody like a stalker is just doing a long Grand Theft Auto follow quest, escort mission? All right. I don't drive. Yeah. Okay. I went out earlier to celebrate a close friend's birthday with a couple of other friends. Everything went fine, despite it being in a park in a bad part of the city. I don't drive. I'm female, 16, so I tend to take the bus anywhere I need to go, as it's not only quicker and safer than walking, but it's a convenient way to get from one part of the city to the next. I had hopped onto the bus I would need to take to get home, and it was starting to get dark outside, as it was approximately 9:20 p.m. This didn't bother me, as I was sure that once I got back in my area, I wouldn't need to worry about any real danger. Little did I know how wrong I could be. The bus arrived at a mall parking lot where it stays for a few minutes to give the driver a break before continuing the route, which is when they'll get off for a few minutes and have a smoke or something like that. As I was waiting for a driver to get back on and continue the route, I spotted a man through the window parallel to me. He was staring right at me, which quite understandably unsettled me a bit. Maybe 5 minutes later, the driver opens the door to get back on, letting the guy who was staring at me outside the bus on. Whoops. Oliver Jacobson with the 2 says, story about staircases in the woods. Yeah, I remember that one. That was an interesting story, definitely. Lave98, it's weird that he sounds exactly the same as the recorded vids. I don't know why it blows my... Well, that's the intended thing there, so that makes me happy to hear. I am glad that the audio quality matches the recording quality, because otherwise I would be a sad boy. Maybe 5 minutes later, the driver opens the door to get back on, letting the guy who was staring at me outside the bus on. It was much later at this point, nearing 10 p.m., so the bus wasn't very crowded. There was about 5 other people on there, so there was no shortage of seats, but that didn't stop him from walking to the back of the bus where I was sitting. I was in the second to last row of seats, and he proceeded to sit behind me. Considering the fact that he was staring right at me through the window a few minutes ago, I was becoming a bit paranoid. I brushed it off as my anxiety getting the better of me, but things still just didn't feel right. It didn't take long to get to my stop from there, and I proceeded to pull the cord and get off the bus. However, I looked behind me out of habit and saw he got off too. This is when some red flags began to raise in my mind. All this was becoming a bit too much to be coincidence. He ended up calling out to me, and for some reason I stopped here. Fuck. 3 people meant to hit like, but couldn't because they were busy eating tacos. 13 past midnight says 3 people suffered from hemorrhoids. This is true. They are suffering the big, bloody one. Tiny Turtles, you are in the hospital? What the freak? Why? Are you okay? They don't have tacos? Oh, shit. Where was I? He ended up calling. He ended up calling out to me, and for some reason I stopped to hear him out for just a moment, despite my better judgment. After all, I was on my own street now. Even so, I decided to let my guard down for a minute. I may be soft-hearted, but I'm not stupid. That was my first mistake. I should have kept on walking. I took off my headphones and asked him to repeat himself, as I hadn't heard what he said the first time. The first thing he says is, "Please be my girlfriend." So assume that having random guys asking them such a question would be a huge compliment. Oops, shit. Some assume that having random guys asking them such a question would be a huge compliment, but considering that I have no clue who he was, it was late at night, and that I'm still technically a minor in my country, I was more than freaked out. Attempting to keep shit. I'm starting to power down a little bit. Attempting to keep a straight and serious face, I quickly replied, please don't. I don't know you. Looking back on it, I could have responded much better, and perhaps this wouldn't have gotten so out of hand if I had, but fight or flight was kicking in, and all logic had left me at that point. Without waiting for a response, I turned away and began walking faster. That was my second mistake. Usually, I know not to turn back on someone, Usually I know not to turn your back on someone who could be potentially dangerous and to try and have your back facing a wall or the side of the house so they can't get behind you. But for the same reason above, it hadn't occurred to me. He was still shouting, insisting that I give him my phone number, to which I loudly yelled, "Please just leave me alone." He asked me again for it, becoming more forceful with his words as I sped up trying to lose him. His insistence was making me nervous as he was becoming more persistent. "Oh, wait, phone number! I want your phone number! Give me your phone number!" Was the sentence I kept hearing as he followed me, every time telling him no and to leave me alone. I've had enough sense left in my head to turn around and take in as many identifying details as I could in the case that things went badly. I didn't know what he could have had planned, and there are frequent issues with stabbings and human trafficking in my city, so needless to say, I was terrified. I was almost home, but he was still following me at this point, continuing to yell at him to give him my phone number, and every time I kept giving him the same answer, hoping he'd back off. He had followed me into my parking lot, and at that point, I was running. I'm not athletic, but needless to say, I valued my life and didn't want to take a chance with losing it, as he easily could have had a weapon on him. I got into my house safe, but I worried that he saw me go in. Told my mom about the guy, and she was right angry. Posted his description and the story of what happened on her Facebook, just to be safe. Right now, it's a bit past midnight, but I know I won't be sleeping a wink. The whole situation stressed me out so bad that I don't even want to close my eyes, just so I can be prepared if something like a break-in happens. You can never be too sure. Burn. Okay. They wrote burn, but meant Ben. Okay. I've been talking with a close friend of mine who has helped calm me down immensely after the whole stalking incident, and I can't be more grateful. I still can't help but wonder what his intentions were. Was he just a normal guy who didn't know what Shit. Was he just a normal guy who didn't know when enough was enough? I'm a fairly average-looking person, and I just wasn't getting good vibes from him, so I'm not convinced that was it, leading me to believe it was something way more sinister. We are nearing 500 viewers. Be sure to keep hitting that like button if you have not already. Sit back, get comfortable, grab some popcorn, grab some dirt. Make a popcorn dirt sandcastle without the sand. Jacqueline Salt with the $2.79 Canadian maple syrup dollars has too many swears for my Christian Minecraft server. I'm sorry. I'm really blowing it on that one. I'm gonna get banned from my own server. Strike that like button down to the pit of Hades. Well, strike it up, I guess. Strike it up, strike it in. Let me begin to read this story. If I didn't, that'd be a sin. This one's called The Time It Was a Small, Creepy World. Oh man, I need like some broth. Do you ever just like drinking broth? Chicken broth. Chicken chaser. Sarah B, I just had my wisdom teeth removed, so I can't have any popcorn. Oh yes, be very careful with that. You would not want anything getting in those wounds. I remember when I got my wisdom teeth out, I was eating Swedish fish, and that was... I would highly advise against that. But I love Swedish Fish. It's so good. My friend, I'll call him Zach, was feeling pretty down for a few days. This was odd behavior for him, as Zach was usually very upbeat, laid back, and happy-go-lucky. I also worked with Zach, so we'd see each other very often. I finally found out Zach was shook up by learning that one of his friends, I'd never met her, but she was a longtime friend of Zach's, was found murdered in her garage. This was some pretty dark stuff that I won't go into detail about, but after some more talks I decided we'd have another friend, I'll call him Host, throw a house party. Host loved hosting parties, but also felt weird just hosting them for no reason. He'd regularly ask about birthdays, accomplishments, and other such life events, searching for a reason to throw a party. I explained what was going on to Host and that Zach hadn't been doing anything but going to work, then drinking himself to sleep when he was off. It was starting to take a visible toll on Zach, and Host agreed that he'd throw a party under some other guys so we could try to get Zach out of the house to be out with some friends. Now at this point, it's good to know that Host was a big scary dude. He was 300 pounds or so, stood easily over 6'2", and only had one arm. He was also a felon, but was trying, or so we thought, to turn his life around. Host certainly had some connections that you didn't want to meet, and we'd later learn he was also involved in some incredibly illegal things, but we didn't know that yet. So the party comes around and we carpooled over. There were hundreds of people here, a couple of beer pong tables and a pool table in the basement. A room with no lights beyond a TV playing visualizations and music that was much more mellow than the music in the rest of the party for people enjoying other things or just needing a dark, quiet place to relax for a little. Ground floor had food and movies, and the top floor with bedrooms for, well, I'm sure you can guess. When we got there, Zach was pretty unconvinced he'd have a good time, but I convinced him to play a round of beer pong with me, and Host got a friend to play against us. Host kinda winked at me, and him and his friends threw the game, so we kept the table, and the next time came up to play us. What? Oh, Gothic, yeah, thank you for linking Robin's stuff, yeah. Robin did all the background art you can see here and on a few other videos as well, and a lot of the thumbnails, so he's very talented if you're looking for someone with some amazing visual effects abilities and video editing. But we convinced, okay, beer pong. Hosts could play against us. The next team were two close friends of ours, and I don't think they threw the game. Okay, what? When we got there, Zach was pretty unconvinced he'd have a good time, but I convinced him to play a round of beer pong with me, and Host got a friend to play against us. Host kinda winked at me, and him and his friend threw the game. So we kept the table for the next game and the next people to come play us. The next team were two close friends of ours, and I don't think they threw the game like Host did, but Zach and I won. One of them comes up later, in a minor role, but I'll name him Tyler. Up came the next team. It was another friend of ours, we'll call her Mel, and a guy none of us had ever met, which wasn't too weird at a party this size, but we'd been to enough of Host's parties that we were pretty well known and recognized a lot of faces. Being the friendly sort, we introduced ourselves to him. Hey, I'm OP, and this is Zach. You've already met Mel. What's up, Loaf? Hey, I'm Zach. Yeah, Loaf. What's your name? Loaf. Like a loaf of bread? And he just stares at me. Well, alright, Loaf. We're undefeated so far, so good luck, but we're gonna destroy you. Zach was beginning to look and act a lot like his usual happy self. We played and actually lost, so we congratulated them. Mel did some pretty standard trash talk and showboating, and Loaf didn't say a word after the game to us and actually refused to shake our hand over a good game. I was starting to get weird vibes from him, so I tapped Zach to come outside for a cigarette with me. Dude, does Loaf seem weird? Yeah, man, I was just going to ask you the same thing. Something seems off about him. I don't know, maybe I'm just still in the funk. No, man, something is off. What kind of name is Loaf, even? It's like the name an alien chooses. At this point, Tyler joined us. He didn't smoke, but he wanted to check on Zach to see if he was feeling better. Tyler did some trash talk about losing to Mel and Loaf and said he was going to go beat them when his turn was up if they were still at the table when his turn came around. Tyler went there to get... Shit. Did Robin design the stuff on your merch? I want a hoodie or something with a profile graphic. Would you be horribly offended if I made bootleg one? I don't see any on your merch site. Oh, the profile graphic? Like the, because I do have one of my avatar, but it's not like the exact art style. But yeah, he did not design any merch on there, at least so far. But yeah, if you're talking about like the more like hyper realistic one, that's my profile, or like the 70s sci-fi art. Oh, we're at 500, guys. Yeah. Thanks for clicking that likey button. 13 past midnight bong. Yeah, everyone always thinks I'm drinking a bong. I'm just having a gargle because I literally talking for hours straight and reading, my throat gets really sore. But yeah, I do have merch of the channel icon. You should be able to find it on Spreadshirt. Link there. Thank you, Gothic. Oh, Robin. Yeah, nice. He said he will make a design for funsies for you. And maybe, yeah, we'll take a peek at that. Thanks, Robin. Robin's the man. Robin's a good guy. Also, Robin just went on vacation. I'm curious how everything went with that. Joel, the gargler. Tyler went in to get us new beers, and Zach and I had another cigarette. Tyler came back and we kept talking. A little later, Mel joined us. Oh, did y'all lose? No, that dude just walked away in the middle of the game without saying anything. He's super sketchy. Yeah, we were just saying that. Maybe he's going to drug someone. Maybe he's a murderer. Tyler then realized how bad of a joke that was in front of Zach and excused himself to tell host to keep an eye on this guy as we all had that same weird vibe about him. Zach and I stayed outside and just kind of talked about the friends he lost. A little while later, we went back inside, and Tyler and his friend were dominating the beer pong table, but we couldn't find Loaf. We found Host and asked if he had seen him. All Host said was very calm and cold. He left. It was an odd answer, but we didn't think much of it. The night went on a little longer, and at one point, Tyler had told us that when he went to warn Host, he was already talking to Loaf about something and could tell he wasn't invited to the conversation by their hushed tone, body language, and glare as he approached. As he walked away, he heard Host beginning to raise his voice and tell something to the effect of, "You don't bring that stuff around my house." When Tyler turned around, Host and... these are such weird names. I didn't eat today, so my mind is like broken in half. I ate like a huge pizza and a bunch of... Oh, you know what Pizza Hut does? This is a non-sponsored talk about Pizza Hut, and I'm not trying to trigger anybody here to get pizza, but once in a while, I'll indulge in a nice Pizza the Hut. And I do a stuffed crust pizza with the Cinnabons they give. And holy shit, those Cinnabons are so freaking good. But after that, I feel like a massive pile of actual dog shit. So the next day, I'll just do like a fast, just to kind of like counterbalance things a little bit. And that's what I did today. And gargle some broth. Yeah, no, honestly, broth really does help because sometimes I feel like in the sort of lightheadedness that you feel from fasting really just comes down to your electrolytes being slightly off kilter. And potentially low blood sugar too, but I mean, it's not like fasting isn't like a wildly abnormal thing to do since our ancestors and people in the modern era sometimes go many days without eating. When Tyler turned around, Host had Loaf pinned to the wall by his neck and was beating him in the face with the stump of his other arm. Loaf left shortly after this, and Tyler made himself scarce, pretending like he saw nothing. The rest of the night was uneventful. A few weeks later, though, Mel, Tyler, Zach, and a few others were blowing up my phone around 8 a.m. I woke up to see what the commotion was and learned Loaf wasn't his name at all. He was on the news arrested under suspicion of multiple murders, one of which was actually Zach's friend. We played beer pong with the guy who was later convicted of murdering Zach's friend. A little later, we learned Host was dealing cocaine. A little later, we learned Host was dealing drugs, facilitated these are some bad words, boys. Gargle Belle Delphine's bathwater help clear your throat, but probably give you Hep C. That's hilarious. That's probably true, though. Poor Loaf. I know. Poor Loaf being a freaking murderer and whatnot. A little later, we learned Host was dealing cocaine, facilitated a prostitution ring, and was upset with Loaf for confessing a murder he did that night. We suspect Host was worried that the cops may have followed him here, and that was the stuff he couldn't be bringing around here. A little while later, Host had his house raided and was arrested for a number of things. Ultimately, we all felt kind of stupid for going to this guy's place as many times as we did, and considered ourselves lucky that nothing happened to us. Cocaine. Oh. I'm in love with the cocoa. Kitties can become a loaf. This is very true. Kitties can be a big old loaf. Maybe that's who they were talking to, was like a full-grown kitty cat. Heather says, people around me thought I was doing drugs, but hell to the no. I only smoke weed now. It helps with the stomach issues I have now. Now I've gained weight. Still skinny, though. That's good. You love when the closing line comes off as selfish. Was this one selfish? Oh, yeah. Oh, where it's kind of like, thank God nothing happened to me. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. I'm in love with the cocoa. Alright. So this next one is called My Worst Bus Journey Ever. Someone is stuffing Loaf now in prison. Yeah, Loaf's getting the good stuff. My entire life, my dad has been a bus driver, and because of this, I grew up loving riding on buses. Even have a free bus pass through my dad, which I use a lot. This happened about a year ago. My dad was driving the bus to from the town. What? My dad was driving the bus to and from the town to the next city. It's about an hour and 45 minutes each way. Since I had some work to catch up on and the bus had Wi-Fi, I decided to tag along and get some of it done. I sat at the back on the top deck, leaned up against the corner with my laptop out. The way there was good. I actually finished all my work. After we got to the city, there was a 10-minute break, so I bought myself a drink, but the whole time, I felt someone was watching me. But when I looked around, no one seemed to have even noticed me. Everyone was busily walking to their buses, but I just couldn't shake the feeling. After I bought my drink and did my thing in the bathroom, I went out and boarded the bus with my dad. I walked upstairs and sat back down in my original seat. As the bus pulled away, I still felt someone was watching me, so I moved to about halfway down the bus so I would be closer to the stairs and therefore closer to my dad. However, because I still had an hour and a half, I didn't want to sit downstairs in case someone tried to sit next to me. Oops, shit. Emily, your cat tried to kill you. That's pretty funny. And unfortunate. Fast forward half an hour. I have 1 hour remaining till I get off, and that's when I notice him. A very tall, probably around 6'3" man walking down the bus. Next... Fuck, dude. Ugh. A very tall man, probably around 6'3", walking down the bus, neck bent to the side so he didn't bang his head. He sat down in the seat across the aisle from mine. He just sat down and stared at me. For the next half an hour, he just sat and stared. He didn't move. He didn't even seem to blink. I decided at the next stop to pretend to get off and go sit downstairs. Someone rings the bell. I stand up before the bus has stopped moving and walk downstairs. The tall guy follows me closely. He was pressed up against me as I stood on the bottom step, waiting for the bus to stop so I wasn't thrown forwards. I moved to sit at the back of the bus. The back rows of the downstairs of the bus had 5 seats facing forward and then 2 seats facing backwards on each side. I sit on one of the backwards facing seats in front of an older lady, late 30s or early 40s. The guy follows me and sits on the middle back seat facing forward, staring at me. I give the woman in front of me these help-me eyes as best I could. She gave me a brief, sympathetic smile before picking up her stuff and pressing the bell to get off the bus. I had 50 minutes left. The man moved seats, sliding over so he sat in the seat diagonal from me with his feet on the seat next to me, preventing my escape. The next 30 minutes were agonizing. He stared at me. He stared into my soul. It was terrifying. He was tall and imposing, but his face was soft. He was a very skinny man, but his face was chubby and strange-looking. I usually associate chubby faces with smiles and happiness, but his was different, contorted and sour-looking. Pulling up to the bus station in my town. Less than a minute and I'm free, and that's when it happened. As soon as he stood up to get off the bus, he smiled and waved at me. I, trying not to offend him, lifted my hand and put it back down again. I turned to grab my bag off the floor, and he did it. He basically jumped on top of me. He held me down and tried to kiss me. I screamed at the top of my lungs, and my dad moved quicker than I'd ever seen out of the cab. My dad is 6 foot tall and over 300 pounds, so he's a huge-looking man, especially in a bus. He screams at the man to get off of my daughter before I get off. He screams at the man to get off my daughter, James, before I get you off her. I've never heard anything so loud in my life. This man flew off of me and ran towards my dad, who stepped into the gap between some seats to let him pass. The man ran. He ran off the bus and just kept running until he went around a corner and I couldn't see him. My dad walked over to me and hugged me. He just held me for a good minute, apologizing me to the whole time. After I got home, that might... David Poole, how many stories? We have this story and one more story, so we're pretty close to the end. Okay. After I got home that night, my dad explained to me who the man was. His name was... fuck, sorry. I can't read anymore. My, brain is broken. His name was James, and he's known for doing this to women, staring at them and then trying to kiss them before he gets off. He's deaf and dumb and uses that as his defense, saying that he didn't know that they had to say no despite people shoving him away and once breaking his nose. They had tried to get him banned from the buses, but he wrote a complaint to the head office and they revoked the ban without consulting the depot. The next day, my dad pulled the footage from the bus and sent it to the police, but nothing ever came of it besides him having a permanent, unrevocable ban from riding on anything owned by the company. That's buses. Some metro trains. Oh, fuck. Sorry. That's buses, some metro trains, and a couple of ferries. James, the bus guy, stopped me from riding buses for at least 6 months. Even now, I'm apprehensive about riding buses alone. Heather, see you later. Hope you have a good night. 1 second, guys. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. My ears, for some reason, are I don't know, I feel pressure on the right one, as if though it's clogged, and I can kind of feel I don't even know what it is, it feels like it's clogged, and then vibration is going up through, it feels like there's still water in there, but would there still be water in your ear after a week? A literal week of I don't even know, of having, swimmer's ear. Hey, Michelle Dunn with the 50 buckarones. Holy cow. I suffer from insomnia. Thank you for reading me to sleep, my fave channel. Absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad I can be of service to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A roach in my ear. Yeah, that would be scary, but I know it's water related. Thank you, Michelle. That was crazy. Has anyone ever used what the hell is it called? Hydrogen peroxide for the ear? Maybe it's an ear infection. Oh, fuck. That would suck, dude. That would actually suck a lot. Sign that I'm getting sick. Yeah, fuck. Rubbing alcohol. What about not like a mixture of hydrogen peroxide? Would that be? Do not use peroxide. Even I've heard of the 3% stuff. So because I have swimmer's ear stuff, but I'm wondering should I? If you have an ear infection, it could bust your eardrum. Oh, the peroxide. Mineral oil works well. Get that checked out. Yeah, you want me to be healthy. Peroxide can remove the wax holding the water in. Might be worth a try. Go to Walmart, use those wax candles. You bought me one. Huh. What? Busted my eardrum with peroxide. Okay, interesting. Try a couple of drops of rubbing alcohol. Yeah, I'll probably just try the swimmer's ear because that's mainly... it just annoyed the fuck out of me because like I literally jumped in the water, and as soon as I did, like it just like the water pressure like dove into my ears, and I'm like, I've never had this issue before. Did my lymph nodes hurt behind my ear? I don't think so, but I don't think so. Lay your head on a hot water bottle. If you pull on an earlobe and it hurts, it's swimmer's ear. It's, if not, more inner ear infection. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't hurt. So I wonder, yeah, if it's like a inner ear. I would hate to... What if I became deaf? That would suck. Alcohol is painful, only a very small amount of peroxide, but a doctor is better for swimmer's ear. Zitra, what's going on with the story? Yeah. Yeah, so that one's over. It's weird, like anytime you kind of try to blow the air out of your ear, and it definitely, there's something blocked in my like sinus area, because I can kind of feel it just like stop. Use the swimmer's ear. I wonder, I didn't know if you were supposed to... Apple cider vinegar. Yeah, that might be what we're looking for. Oh, man. That'd be so weird if all of a sudden water came out of my ear, like... Use heating pad on that area. Interesting. Okay, well... You kind of get used to it and sometimes have a problem hearing. Oh man, I would hate for that to happen. If I have an ear infection, I'm entitled to the bong. Caroline, ear candles are very good. Interesting. Ear candles. I've never even heard of such a thing. Are they on the Amazon? Probably. Ear candles. Weird. Strange. Your doc gave you a nasal spray. I love your videos. Thanks. Hey, thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. Chop my ear off. That's what I was gonna do, but then I didn't have any scissors or an axe. Your friend had an inner ear infection. He was disoriented and was vomiting. We'll all be doctors here. Yeah, you guys are all my doctors. Help fix me. Well, good doctors. This is the last story for the night. This one's called Creepy Man with the Blue Truck. Ear candles are cool, but some people say they don't work. I think they do. Maybe a placebo effect. Yeah, I never even heard of those, but I'm not really sure. All right. I'm not usually scared to go out alone in the late night hours if I know my surroundings very well, and especially if I need to. I'm a small, petite girl about 5'2" and 130 pounds. I always carried around pepper spray, and if I'm going to the store or something, I'll text my boyfriend and let him know exactly what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll even send him my current location to let him know exactly where I'm at in case anything goes south. On this day, I was heading to work at a bar and didn't have time to stop and get gas beforehand. After work, I had planned to visit my boyfriend who lives about 80 miles away. Once I got off of work, I knew I needed to get gas, and it was extremely late, about 2 a.m. I usually stop at this gas station on my way to the city my boyfriend lives in, for several reasons. The inside is open, it's brightly lit, the cameras are up to date, there's always a guy inside, and he lets me use the bathroom even though it's designated for employees, so it's pretty nice. On my way driving there, I look around at the other stores and places and notice a blue truck parked at another gas station across the street. I'm waiting for the stoplight and look to my right. The gas station I'm going to is directly across from this gas station. There's a car just parked at a pump with no one pumping gas, no one around, and the gas station is obviously closed. So as I'm looking, I think, yeah, that's definitely odd. I turn my head straight and the street light turns green and I proceed to the other gas station across the street. I see another car there, so I'm thinking, thank God there's another person. I go inside, give the cashier some money, and then proceed back to my car. I left my phone in my car and had the gas door open, and my keys have pepper spray, so I had that ready. As I'm standing there waiting, the guy at the other pump leaves, and I'm like, oh boy, now I'm alone at that pump. I'm staring at the gas station across the street. The blue truck has probably been parked there for maybe 7 minutes now, and if you're using debit, that's probably a long time to be at the pump. It was there as I drove here. Wait, what? Black Wolf with the $2 says, love your stories. Thank you, Black Wolf. Good to see you here. Fair lady kid. What's my profession? Yeah, I guess I was a nurse, but we didn't really deal with ear infections all that much. We dealt with a lot of surgeries and stuff, and I don't know. In nursing school, it's like you learn a lot of shit, but you never learn like one thing particularly well until you start working at like your specialty, and then you become more versed in that kind of stuff, and everything else like can exist in your head, but I wasn't wildly interested in healthcare, I guess, and I think now that I'm starting to experience this, I probably will do a lot more digging into it. Dodge Ram Master, what's good, brother? It was there as I drove here. There as I pumped. Okay. It was there as I drove here. There as I pumped gas, and is going to be there once I leave. Right when my gas is almost finished, a guy starts running from across the street. He looks disheveled, not homeless, but hasn't showered for a couple of days. He wore a black, faded, oversized hoodie, baggy jeans, and he was bald. His beard was a bit grown out, and he was Hispanic. He looked to be about 35 to 40 years old, or maybe younger. I'm a bad judge when it comes to age. I'm at pump 5, let's say, and he keeps his distance at pump 4. He asked me if he can borrow my phone to make a call. I was thinking of an excuse like, I don't have a phone or it's dead, but then no one would believe that anymore. So I just kept saying, sorry, no. He claimed the blue truck across the street was his and that he was having trouble with his car. He kept insisting that his phone was dead and that he needs to call a friend to help him with his car troubles. Now I'm thinking, what a total liar. There's a Denny right across the street. A Denny. An individual Denny. Now I'm thinking, what a total liar. There's a Denny's right across the street, and another gas station and a Safeway are all still open. Not to mention, there was another guy here pumping gas earlier. Why couldn't you come and ask him if your blue truck was parked there for some time? He literally left before you came. If he was in dire need of help, he would have went inside and asked the cashier, or went to those other locations where there were other more people. Oh, man. Wait, Black Wolf, you're a paramedic. Yeah, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I was telling these guys about on my right ear, I feel like I'm developing an ear infection or something, because I keep hearing almost like there's like a blockage in my right ear, so it sounds like a lot of pressure, and then when I speak, it sounds like your own voice, like muffled in your ear or something, like the airflow is blocked out of there, and it's very annoying. I need to get that figured out. If he was in dire need of help, he would have went inside and asked the cashier, or went to those other locations where there were more people. So I kept saying sorry, no. I finished pumping gas, hauled it to my car, and left. I called my boyfriend and told him about the blue truck and the weird dude. A couple of weeks after that, I went to the same gas station, but at an earlier time, maybe at 12 a.m. And guess what I saw? The same blue truck parked at the same pump. I was with my boyfriend this time, and there were more people at the gas station. I told my boyfriend I wasn't lying, and that was the same true... Fuck. Hey, Thomas Fries says, I have some... With the $2 says, I have someone stick their tongue in your ear. That might work. That might be the old, ancient medical techniques that have long been forgotten. Try holding your nose and closing your mouth and pushing air into your head. Well, you don't want to do that too hard because you can blow out your eardrum if you do the whole, pushing out on the ear, and it might just add more pressure to it and hurt you. So I will avoid doing that. I told my boyfriend I wasn't lying, and that was the same blue truck I saw last time. Fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, I ran across a post from a girl in my city where I pumped the gas. She reposted a Facebook post about weird guys going around and doing exactly what that guy did to me. It was also saying something about human trafficking recruiters. Now you can imagine how I'm feeling while reading this. It might not be the same guy, or it could be, who knows. Maybe there's people going around doing the same thing. I usually would love to help out a stranger if they needed it, but this guy just didn't seem like he needed help. Dodge Ram Master, you're going deaf in real life, so you keep the headphones off. Yikes. Yeah, that would be scary. It definitely feels like when I had the headphone on, it kind of amplified things a little bit. I'm not really sure why. Conversations with chat always go to a weird place. I don't think I even once been on when pizza wasn't mentioned. Yeah, that's so funny. We talk about a lot of pizza here. Pizza pie. And it's funny because my roommate just ordered a pizza too, so... Just a pizza. Yeah, it's just a pizza culture. Well, dudes, we have come to the end of the last story. You guys want to think of something funny to say for the outro here? Usually I read my outro, but at the end when I say, and remember, and then I can include something that you all will forever be able to remember. Hey, I was part of that stream when he read that. Heather, are we talking about poop? Is this a poop conversation? Gothic, you had Pizza Hut for dinner. Nice. You had sardines on pizza? I've never tried it. It's probably pretty good. Fluid that needs to be drained. Oh boy. Ugh. Hopefully it's something simple that I can deal with. And remember, apple cider vinegar can cure anything. This is probably true. Next live stream with Blue Spooky. Is he here? If he comes into our chat, I'll let him in. Alright. Big E, shoot, you're arriving while I'm live, but you're arriving at the worst possible time here. Because we're just finishing. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let's Read Official, and give and receive feedback from the community, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And join my Discord to interact with me and other listeners directly. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations for just $1 a month on Patreon, and maybe even pick up some Let's Read merch on Spreadshirt. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all these stories in long compilation form and save huge on data, located on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Links in the bio. Thanks so much, friends, and I'll see you again soon. Oh shit, I forgot the... Thanks so much, friends, and remember, apple cider vinegar can cure anything. Well, guys, yeah, I'm gonna go try some swimmers here. Might end up going to, like a Med Express or something and seeing what they say. I don't really know. I hate that I always have to make an appointment for stuff, but we shall see. Hopefully it's just, change in pressure and I mean, it's just weird because it's been like a full week and I'm like, why is there still water in my ear after that long? Just seems kind of strange. Dead leaf clover, bye-bye. Bye, Emily. Thanks for being here. Thank you, guys. Thanks to the mods. Thank you for helping. All the donations tonight. Super, super generous. Super kind. The members. Love it. Thanks, guys. Adios. Oh, also, yeah, this video will be out tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And, yeah. Hold a potato against your ear. Alright, huh. Perhaps. Perhaps.